Finally, we are coming to 11th chapter, and the setting happens in the library, where the reader is coming and circling the world from book to book, and he starts. He is asking a request from to find a book that books that he was pursuing, and however, there is. The book cannot be found, or the second book he is asking is immediately requested by another one, or the third one is on the loan, but they are unable to determine who took it and when, and so on, and every book is unavailable when he is asking for it. So
Yes, but here it's interesting that everything that he read before just disappears. So we know that we will never know the ending of the previous stories that we read, and we read so many stories, I don't even remember how many they were. But now he's back to the library, and we came back to the first situation. Do you remember when he came for the first time to the library saying that his book is unfinished, and now all the books are unfinished, and he's back to the library, and here we see there are other people than him, and all of them reading something, and this is the moment when we actually feel the process of reading. And process of reading can be different. For example, one person, he was looking at the voids. He was not looking at the reader, he was looking at the voids, and he had something in his eyes, and he said, when I read, I don't only try to focus on the book, I read some lines and then try to think about it. That's why I try to look at the void and make up my mind.
yes, but I could relate to another reader who was saying that he has to reread the books he just read, and but when every time he is rereading them, he is seeing the changes in the books, or he is reading them from another perspective, noticing the things that he never noticed, and that was actually relatable for me, because I am always I change, I guess, and when my mindset changes, my perception of the book changes too, and I am also that curious to see the book like this person after some time as I read it. Yes.
Okay, and there are also one person who said, I also like that the book ends in something, like the result, and it's not just the book you're reading, there is always a result. And he said that, and I felt so relatable. I think if people is really seeking for a result, he might get disappointed by reading this book because he will never get to one point. But it's okay, because people are different, and the purpose of this book was not intended for the people like this.
Maybe. So also after this all, our reader is it is this his time to speak, and the moment when he speaks, he says that he likes to read only what is written, and to connect the details with the whole, and especially he likes to read it from the beginning to the end. However, there was something, everything was going wrong for him, because the world there now where stories are ended, interrupted, and he is suspended. So the fifth reader, I guess, told him yes, exactly the same thing is happening to me too, and I have forgotten all the rest of the story, but I remember the beginning. And he assumes that it was Arabian Nights, this novel that he forgot. So, and this reader reflects he was feeling that this Arabian Nights book felt to him like a dream, and because he doesn't know what happened next. That was actually likely to be true.
And then we realized that there are all the people gathered, they all read the same books, which were not unfinished. And this is the same book that we also read because we are with these people. We were also the readers, and there was all. So he says, "May I see?" And then he lists all the names of the books the stories that we read, and I thought they can be one big sentence. Don't you think so? Like he says, if on a winter's night a traveler outside the town of Malbork, leaning from the steep of slope without fear of wind or vertigo, looks down in the gathering shadow in a network of lines that interlace, in a network of lines that intersect, on the carpet of leaves illuminated by the moon around an empty grave, what story down there awaits its end? He asks, anxious to hear the story. So everything that we read before are just summed up to one big sentence.
It's incredible. Yes, that's interesting. I would never assume that this could be a sentence. So, yes, but he was actually misunderstood at the beginning. He didn't think like that this could be a sentence. There are only titles, The Traveler, but The Traveler always appeared only in the first page, and then was never mentioned again. He was fulfilled. He had fulfilled his function. The novel wasn't his story. That was interesting. That The Traveler is only appearing to make a guidance for us, to give us the way where we are going.
Yes, and the main part of the last chapter is this sentence. I found it this. The seventh reader interrupts you. Do you believe that every story must have a beginning and an end? In ancient times, a story could end only in two ways: having passed all the tests, the hero and the heroine married, or else they died. The ultimate meaning to which all stories refer has two faces: the continuity of life or the inevitability of death. You stop for a moment to reflect on these words. Then, in a flash, you decide you want to marry Ludmila. But here it says, not all stories has to end, because it's life. So different things happen, and they don't sometimes end. Sometimes they start without beginning. And I think this was the point of the whole book, that when we're reading something, we don't even we think about that there must be an end result, but the end result is that we are reading it, and maybe it just we have to learn something from it, and we shouldn't try to anticipate what's going to happen.
Yes, you're right. And the final sentence was that he wants to marry Ludmila. And this romance between the reader and Ludmila acts as a metaphor for union of the reader and the text for me. Like the reader and the text, this mirrors the inability of to connect fully with the text, and shows this nature of the book, which is unfinished. This unfinished nature of the book, it ends with their romance, and this is really interesting.
Okay. So.